Good to see you, my loves. Good to see you. You are the cat's meow. All right. So if this doesn't reading does not apply to you, it's a smorgasbord of collective consciousness. And so we will just go into the cards and we'll see what the message from Spirit is about the coming week. Let's see what happens. And let's go ahead and welcome our newest member. Gabriel is here. Welcome, Gabriel. I don't know where my... Oh, there it is. There it is. I lost it. Gabriel Bomi. Welcome, welcome. Gabriel Bomi. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Oracle of Whimsy. There you go. There's your song. It's written for you. All right. What is going on for the week? Glad to have you here. Yeah, so Trump had a Great Gatsby themed party. Isn't that interesting since bootlegging is pretty much what he does for a living? Smuggling all kinds of things, using Mar-a-Lago as potentially a smuggling point. Trump models possibly trafficking people, bringing in people from other countries to be trafficked under the guise of being Trump's modeling agency when it was really what? Human trafficking? So now he has a what? A Great Gatsby themed party. Where we are at right now, we are fighting for that which we feel is right. Base card at this time is the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is the ability to defend or protect yourself from multiple attacks. In the last video, one of the things we talked about in the meditation was this idea of these are the bases. Was this idea that the reason you feel the way you do, and the reason that I feel the way we do, is that America is under attack. We are under attack through social media without Putin having to fire a shot, because controlling our media by putting up bots that say salacious things to get us to grab on to salacious ideas and begin fighting each other. That is the function of these bots. And so what's happened is we're now at civil war. We have been literally ripped to pieces by foreign bots. And our intelligence agencies, which appear to be completely useless, they are aiding and abetting in human trafficking with Epstein by covering it up and covering up what Trump did. They're really good at not doing their jobs, right? I have no idea what our intelligence agencies are up to. They don't seem to have done anything to have protected us from this attack. And they don't seem to have done anything to protect us from Donald Trump and all the crimes they know he committed, which the FBI intentionally buried to shove him into the White House for God knows what agenda. Leads me to think that our intelligence agencies have been compromised because the money is in charge. Certainly the people are not in charge. If the FBI did a sweetheart deal with Epstein, where 100 men who genitally assaulted hundreds of children, they assaulted the genitals of children. They drug children around like toys and tossed them to wolves to be mutilated. And the FBI is okay with that. You're all right by me, Trump, right? And that's objective reality. So if you look at somebody like Acosta and the judges and the FBI, when they had to shut down the Epstein party in Miami, in Palm Beach, they didn't really have a problem with children's genitals being mutilated. right? They didn't have a problem with Trump tying a 12-year-old to a bedpost and assaulting her genitalia with his penis. Let's be very specific here. They not only are okay with it, they covered it up along with the names of 100 other men and buried it. But the FBI did more than that. They didn't just help these predators rape your children, our children, foster kids, right? Kids that have fallen through the cracks. Our government didn't just, and this is objective reality. These are the facts. This is not a conspiracy theory. The sweetheart deal that the Epstein file that has shut down the government is a desperate attempt, not just to cover up what Trump, you've got to see the bigger picture here, people. I need you to see the bigger picture. We need to see the bigger picture, right? So what's the bigger picture? The bigger picture is that the FBI likes evidently kids getting raped, and they like the guy who raped the kids because he's sitting in the White House right now for a second term. And the FBI must have liked January 6th because they did nothing to keep the man who committed committed January 6th in the White House. So now you have to ask yourself, if the man that helped construct January 6th is sitting in the White House, the man who had sex trafficking going on with Trump modeling agency, trafficking women from third world countries like Africa, where he trafficked them out and took a profit. We're pretty sure he did that. Trump modeling agency went bust. We know that he's part of the Epstein file. And we know that he had a sweetheart deal along with Alan Dershowitz and 100 other people, right? So the hard, cold, brutal truth is that our government's agencies that are here to protect America are not here to protect America. They're here to protect an elite group of powerful people who do bad things. And that is the cover-up. And that is the thing that they don't want you talking about in DC. And that is why you feel gaslit right now and can't understand. Well, it's they don't want us to find out about Trump in the Epstein file. Oh, honey, that's the tip of the iceberg. Trump and 100 of his friends and the police that stood guard and said, "Are you done yet? You need another 10 minutes?" Who was watching the door? That's the question you need to ask yourself. When these atrocities were being committed that Virginia Giuffre talks about, who was watching the door? Who ultimately said, green light? The FBI. Because it was the FBI that got all the tapes. The gaslighting is incredible. They're now calling the victims whose genitals were assaulted, because let's be clear, that's what rape is. And some of these women were bleeding. Some of these children were bleeding and inseminated and had to go get abortions after they were passed around by these dirty old men. No, they assaulted the genitals of these children multiple times, starved them, trafficked them. Did anybody even make sure that Virginia Giuffre had eaten, let alone properly clothe her? No, she was meat. She was a piece of meat. You have somebody like Prince, formerly known as Prince Andrew. He believed in divine right of kings. It is my right to assault your genitalia. I demand you give me that genitalia. This was his attitude. And this is the way he would talk to his supervisors in a very proper British way. Bring her in here, right? When prostitutes and trafficked girls would show up and they'd be like, what the hell are you doing here at the castle? That is what Andrew would say. It's none of your fucking business over there, right? You're nothing. You're trash. You're garbage. This is my divine right. I have the right to assault the genitalia of any female child or adult that happens to, or anything else that happens to walk by, right? So this is the mentality. And so what has happened to America? What has happened to America, let's be very clear here, is that our government agencies have been hijacked by these creeps to benefit them at the expense of your safety and welfare. That's the story. Virginia never said that Netanyahu was one of her abusers, Gloria. That's false. Netanyahu was not named. That's I think you're getting him confused with Ehud Barak, which is somebody else. Ehud Barak, she didn't say Ehud Barak. She never mentioned Ehud Barak, but there were suspicions that the prime minister was Ehud Barak. But there are also rumors that the perpetrator was Tony Blair. But we hate Jews in America. We hate Jews in the Middle East. We hate Jews. So everything is the fault of the Jews. So they're going to go ahead and do what they can to make it out like the Jews are responsible. They're not going to blame the Church of England. Even though the guy going around raping all these people was Church of England. And his brother's the head of the Church of England. Nobody's going to blame the Church of England because that's white people. And we don't want to blame white people, right? That's the standard Protestant. So no, we got to go. Are there any Jews at this party? Let's go ahead. Well, Epstein was secular. He was born Jewish, but he wasn't a religious Jewish. He wasn't observing Judaism, right? Alan Dershowitz. Let's go find the Jews, right? But the other 99 are white Christians, right? Many of them Church of England. So that's another game we like to play. You know, you don't want to look at the FBI. You don't want to look at the Church of England. You don't want to look at what's in front of your nose. You want to run off and go chase after some Jew under the, it's very important for us to accept objective reality and stop blaming some other foreign government or some other person or some other religion, whether it's Jews or black people or scary black people or any of this other BS. We have to just look at objective facts. And the objective facts are that the U.S. government did this to us. That's the objective. You cannot rearrange it and start blaming foreign. Oh, they're just helpless tools. Everything is being run by the Jew. You got all these anti-Semitic conspiracies going on. The bottom line is the buck stops here. It stops with our FBI. Our FBI did this to us. Let's be as clear as possible. You think Acosta was being held hostage by Jewish people on Purim? I mean, like, the FBI did this to the American people. So you have this base card of the Seven of Wands where we are trying desperately to defend ourselves. Seven of Wands is to stand on high ground and to protect your land. This land was made for you and me, right? We are in a situation where we are trying to protect our land, and we must accept. I know you don't. No, my husband, he loved me. He didn't have no affair, right? No, the FBI, they love America. They wouldn't do this. They wouldn't be secretly meeting with Proud Boys on January 5th with Trump planning to overthrow the U.S. government. The FBI loves us. Well, if the FBI loves us, then why is this quackadoodle back in the White House? If the FBI loves us, then why did this quackadoodle get protected along with 100 of his creepy friends? Because the FBI doesn't love you. You're nothing to the FBI. You're nothing. Because we have fallen. Our nation has fallen. And who has taken over? The oligarchs. And that's really the bottom line. The people in positions of power have taken over, and they can do whatever the hell they want, and they think you're so stupid you won't be able to figure it out, and we can just blame somebody else. We'll go blame the Jews. We'll go blame black people. We'll go blame, rather than, because they think you're too stupid to be able to see the facts in front of you. And here's what the American people need to do about it. We need to drag them from their homes into a hearing with the Senate, and every single person that is a member of the intelligence agencies that participated must be drug out on a rail and hoist it up so the entire world can see your face and know your name. That's what needs to happen. And if that needs to happen in every other country that participated with this little American playground, because that's what it was an American playground. And I'm not going to let the American government get off. You will stand and take responsibility for what you participated in. Drag them in front of the hearings. Shame them. That's what we should, and then charge them. They need to be, this is not the America that we want to build for ourselves. So you have this energy coming together of us defending our country, defending our land, and then you have justice coming in. But it's not going to happen if we're confused. Who gave the sweetheart deal to Epstein? Who gave him the authority to give that sweetheart deal? Why was he given a sweetheart deal? Who were the people in positions of power in the United States that said, I'm cool with that? Who were the people in positions of power that were hanging out at Epstein parties and said, I'm cool with that? Don't let yourself be gaslit. I was watching Israeli news, and this idiot who thinks he's a Zionist, he thinks he's pro-Israel, he's actually destroying Israel. But this idiot said, oh, all these liberals with their Trump derangement syndrome, and this guy is claiming to be supporting Israel. Honey, you're not supporting Israel. You're destroying Israel. You're a Johnny-come-lately right-wing lunatic. It's a leftist country. It was created by communists and socialists. You're late to the party, and I don't like what you're doing to my country. Stop saying it's Trump derangement syndrome when we don't want a man that rapes people in the White House. That's not derangement syndrome. Stop gaslighting the American people. Oh, you must have Trump derangement syndrome because when he assaulted the genitalia of E. Jean Carroll, and she said it hurt. Because when your genitals have been ripped open by somebody's fingers and you don't want those fingers in you, it hurts. Oh, well, come on. How bad was it? I mean, how bad did he assault your genitals? First with his fingers, and then she said with the penis, but it couldn't be proven, right? So he assaulted this woman's genitals and he was found liable. It's nearly impossible to get one of these creeps in prison because they set it up that way. Well, you can't prove it. I mean, he didn't go to prison. He didn't get, prison in 1980, whatever, when you're this guy. So they created the pleasure palace. Our federal government created the pleasures that these men get. They get to take their pleasures at your expense. And we can just blame the Jews. We can just go blame some foreign country. And that's what I find offensive as an American. Shut down his charity, shut down his modeling agency, aka prostitution trafficking ring. Engineered January 6th, stole US government documents, gave them to God knows who. And then gaslight me, a true Zionist, somebody who actually is educated about the history of the state of Israel, a leftist experiment that's failing, unfortunately, and then say we have Trump derangement syndrome when we say he raped her. Oh, come on. You really can't say that now. That was libel. La, 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 la. Take your hot chocolate, little girlie. Right? The gaslighting, this constant gaslighting in order to keep you confused. Like, what? Rather than seeing objective reality. Objective reality is the FBI has been bought and sold by people in positions of power, aiding and abetting people in positions of power, helping the monsters get bigger. They've taken over the U.S. government. They sat on their asses and did nothing because they supported January 6th. They sat on their asses and covered up documents because they're the ones that made the deal to seal the Epstein file. The Epstein files are sealed because the FBI sealed them. We don't have to go on some conspiracy theory into la la land. We just have to be in touch with reality. Right? Yeah, kibbutz is a communist experiment. David Ben-Gurion was a communist, and it wasn't an insult. We have come so far from the dream of what Israel was supposed to be, and his first army were Arab Bedouins, by the way. He was they were probably going to become one country against the British, I would assume, which is probably a good thing to go against because the British were engaged in so much hegemony all over the world, but so including Palestine. But yeah, so you have this need to protect and defend, and then you have justice coming in. But it can't happen as long as we're gaslit and we're creating these complicated stories and not sticking to the basics. No, it was the FBI. No, it was us. No, we did that to our own people because you don't give a fuck about the American people. No, you covered up January 6th. In fact, you probably participated. That's how he wound up in the White House, because you wanted him in the White House, right? And what's wrong with our FBI that those are the people that are getting hired to work for the FBI? We have a lot of work to do, right? If we want to save America, we have a lot of work to do to defend our land. This land was made for you and me, 7 of Wands, and then the karma card is justice. So we've been singing the song, shaming the socialist, shaming the person who says, we need to think in terms of the rights of everyone, and then twisting the facts and saying we're going to be China if you have socialist. No, you're going to be Denmark, which is the number one happiest place in the world. Norway, Denmark, Finland, Sweden. These are the happiest countries on earth. Surprise, democratic socialism. We just have to be very, very clear as we march towards justice, right? Where we are at right now, we sit in a world of dreams. We are dreaming. It's important that we don't dream our lives away, but the Queen of Cups, she dreams. She dreams about what she can create. So we have many dreams. And the crossing card for us at this time is frugality. We have to watch our coin at this time. We have dreams. We could be kind of spaced out because we don't know what the hell is going on because of all these crazy bots coming in, confusing us, right? Bernie's people got hijacked by Russia, right? So the left is being hijacked and the right is being hijacked to get us to fight, to create civil war. The goal is not one party or the other. The other is the destruction of the United States, and it's working. They're bulldozing our White House. They've got a psychopathic, homicidal, rapist, lunatic as the president. They're willing to lie, steal, cheat to cover up their crimes against humanity, the FBI. They've been doing crap like this on U.S. reservations for years, but nobody was talking about it because Native Americans didn't have the money and resources to get the word out that horrible atrocities and civil rights, crimes against humanity were being perpetrated on a daily basis by the FBI against the American Indian people. AIM, the American Indian movement, said take up arms. Kill them. So the FBI went and shut down the American Indian movement. Then they took back Wounded Knee, the siege of Wounded Knee in the 1970s, finally drew attention to how horrible the FBI was to the first persons of the Americas. And the only reason that we don't hear about it the way we hear about what's going on in Gaza is because they don't have Qatari money backing their revolution. Over 500 nations were conquered. Over 500 nations and island peoples. Horrible, horrible human rights violations take place every single day on reservation. And nobody knows about it. Because the average white kid's never been on a reservation, let alone spent time and seen just how horrible the FBI is, right? So we all grew up with these naive ideas about our FBI, and now The chickens have come home to roost, and we have started to see just how horrible the FBI really is. That they don't care about indigenous peoples, and they don't care about you. They don't care if you're alive or dead. Just keep the trains moving. Keep the industry flowing. Right? So now I think that we are at a point we either accept reality of where we are at and refuse to be gaslit, and because we're being mentally raped every day. I feel like it's mental rape. Just pathological lying constantly, refusing to show financial records, refusing to show real medical records, FBI propping it up, helping him on January 6th. People were shot and killed. They don't care because the FBI doesn't work for you. That's the point. The FBI works for the man. But I see future. I'm just extremely angry about this whole thing. In case you got, I don't mean to be. I know a lot of people are like, it's Debbie Downer. We don't want to. I'm sorry. I just, the base card is the Seven of Wands. This land was made for me and you, man. It's all about defending our territory, and then to have the courts come in. Do we have courts? It's such a joke. If that's our FBI, what does that say about our courts? Oh, you've got Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, you've got it. Oh, you're listening to Katie Johnson. You must have Trump derangement syndrome. It can't be. It can't be that our FBI. No. The FBI. We're going to go to the FBI. Oh, you're going to go to the FBI. And what are you going to tell the FBI? We're going to tell the FBI. Tell them what? That all these terrible things happen and now the FBI is going to do something? The FBI isn't going to do shit.
Free will. No, there was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent.
Yes, everything that I say at this interview will be the truth. I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump. I was 13. The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance, and he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then he, I began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but. Before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, you need to use a glove. And the recruiter, he ran over and handed me a glove and said, no one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove. So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party. Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties.
So, do you think that you're learning something that the FBI doesn't know anything about?
Told him that I was 13. I told him why I was there. And he basically said, well, you'll do, I'm sure that you'll fit pretty nicely here. And then he tried to basically slip himself inside of me. And I pushed him away, and I said, I'm because at that point in time, I still believed that there was models, and then there was the girls that did that. Like, I thought there was a separation. So, I told him that I wasn't interested in that, but he said that I would do. And as far as Donald Trump, he knew that I was 13, and I believe that Tiffany told him he seemed to take a liking to me because I was I was so young, and I was also a virgin. So I don't know. It seemed like he wasn't really into having girls that were liked by the other guys. He kind of, the whole glove. He kind of liked things to be his first.
So the reason that this happened, and the reason that we need to come to terms with as a nation, is that this happened because the FBI is cool with it. So if this happened, now the other thing is that the FBI knew it all. They had all the records on this. And so what they do, they made a deal, a sweetheart deal with the FBI, that they would bury everything, and then you would just give a testimony. Well, this is what I saw, and this is who I saw, right? Supply us with information about people in positions of power so we can blackmail them, right? So that is what I'm trying to get people to sit with and meditate on and come to terms with. This happened because our FBI wanted it to happen, because they were cool with it. They were in on it. They were watching the door. Do what you got to do. I got you. Right? So that is the cover up. That is the cover up. You're not teaching the FBI anything. They already have everything. Everything was confiscated long ago. Then when they raided Epstein's home, they took a bunch of more stuff. So you're not, the fact that the FBI is, hey, so much work. You want us to call these women who had their genitals assaulted at 13? It's too much work. So now, slowly, they're rolling out of bed and they're calling these Epstein victims who gave a press conference, treating them like they're fucking idiots. You don't say. He put his penis where? I had no idea. Meanwhile, we've been looking at those films for decades, right? So right now our country is screwed up because, number one, it's been hijacked by foreign players, and number two, our intelligence agencies are aiding and abetting the criminals, and that's really what's going on, and that is the thing that we have to come to terms with. What is above us? A heavy load lay ahead. The persecution of the poor, the persecution of the middle class, we are put upon. The Ten of Wands is to be put upon. We are put upon. Can you imagine if John Adams and Abigail were alive today and they could just see what was going on in that room? There's your future 47th president, 45th, 47th president. I wonder what John and Abigail would do. Would they commit suicide? Like, oh my God, the experiment failed. I mean, like, I just wonder. You know what? I think Gavin Newsom is running for president, and I think that he wants to take on Trump. This is a problem because Gavin Newsom is an imperfect person. He's from California. His ex-wife hates him. She hates him. Garofalo, what's her name? I've gone into her energy, and she hates him. She hates him because he lied and cheated. According to her, he's a pathological liar, and he cheated on her left and right, and she wants revenge. She wants to kill him, right? So this is, it's weird that his ex-wife turned into Trump Jr. I mean, like, of all the bizarre places she would wind up, right? But, and yeah, Kimberly Guilfoyle is right. Kimberly Guilfoyle. So I question anybody that would have ever dated Kimberly Guilfoyle. Like, what was that about? And then you look at her and she hates him. And she has so turned on him this deep sense of betrayal. But more than that, he married a woman who is morally and ethically questionable. She sexually harassed her employees. But I really I'm feeling that Gavin Newsom is coming big into, I don't know if he's going to be the next president, but I can tell you he's going to take him on. Like, I'll box with you. I'll take you on. The Knight on the White Horse, emerging as the King of Cups. It's like this man comes in that's going to smooth the waters. And I feel this, the courts are coming in. Money is about to be released to the American people. The desire now, or the opposition, is the health. Our health and the health of the nation remains in the house of opposition. The hope and fear at this time, walking away from everything. And the final outcome could be gaslighters and dividers, right? He was a gaslighter, divider, right? So we have 7 of Cups. We have to be very careful to just keep going down to the basics. But who gave the sweetheart Acosta, and who gave the authority? The FBI. And why did the FBI? You can't continue to blame foreign governments. You're going to blame the Jews for what's happening on Native American reservations with the FBI. The problem is that the FBI is tainted. It's been tainted for a really long time, and they need to appear before the Senate, and there needs to be a hearing, and the House, and there need to be hearings. There need to be hearings and exposés on our intelligence agencies, starting with the FBI, where they are 100% held responsible for the situation we find ourselves in right now. With Donald Trump getting into the White House happened because the U.S. intelligence agencies helped cover up this guy's crimes, and that is why he's sitting in the White House. They covered up January 6th. They covered up Epstein. They covered up the racketeering. They covered up the human trafficking through Trump modeling agency. We are in this situation because he was aided and abetted. The people watching the door were our intelligence agencies, and that is the conversation. Oh, we have some brand new members. Let's go ahead and say hi to them, starting with the amazing Sharon Thomas. Sharon Thomas, Sharon Thomas, we welcome you. We welcome you to the Oracle of Whimsy. Thank you for being here. So glad to have you. We have another person too. Lorna Smith. Lorna Smith. We welcome you. We welcome you to the Oracle of Whimsy. Welcome, Lorna Smith. Blessings upon you. Blessings, blessings. The Oracle sends blessings upon you. Blessings. Yes. I'm usually not this much of a witch. Well, only when children, if you hurt a child, you will see my dark side. Yes. So we must be careful to move away from 7 of Cups. Now, in terms of how this might apply in your personal life, don't let anybody gaslight you. Don't let anybody who's abusing you tell you that you're not being abused. If you have family, hi, Mark. Mark Rhodes is here. Good to see you here. If you, hi, Mark. Good to see. Mark was Pee Wee Herman. I saw him dancing on the stage on Instagram. He was Pee Wee. You look so much like Pee Wee Herman. I thought that Pee Wee had come back to life. You did a great job. Yeah, so just be careful about gaslighting, people screwing with your head, manipulating your head. This happened to me a lot when I lived in Jerusalem, Israel, where was constantly debating ultra orthodox. It was like I had to see somebody to unscramble my brain every 5 minutes because the gaslighting was so thick. It was just, how can I manipulate Whimsy into being an obedient slave in the name of God because it benefits me, right? That's religion for most people, right? How can I manipulate you into joining my religion so I can use you, right? It's the will of God that you be my slave. It's the will of God that you give me sex. It's the will of God that you submit, right? And then who benefits? I do. You got cooking, you got the cleaning, you got the sexy time, you got the babies. And while you're at it, could you go bring me some money too? Because I'm busy studying and I just can't do that. Money, sex, kids, I got it all. I got a nice hot cholent stew on Saturday. She's feeding me, she's feeding my friends, and it's coming out of her wallet. This is great, right? It's God's will. Before the sun comes up, she starts working as a slave. She doesn't go to sleep until right before the sun comes up. She sleeps for about an hour, and then I send her out to go work, clean, take care of the 10 babies, and bring me more money, right? It's God's will. If it benefits me, it's God's will, right? That's not religion, that's narcissism. So many people, I'm sorry to say, 99% male, who use religion just as a tactic to control so that they can have their personal needs met, whether it's sex, money, or anything else, right? So when somebody is screwing with your head, go back to your center and saying, how does this philosophy benefit them? Is the gaslighting that the fucking with your head that this person is doing, how is it harming you financially and psychologically to have this person has access to your wallet, your mind, your whatever? That's the American situation right now. And that could be happening in your interpersonal relationships. But Seven of Cups is to be like, I don't know what the hell's happening. It's like me with GoDaddy. I'm having trouble accessing my email. The next thing, they want access to my credit card and they start charging me for all this stuff, right? Company out of India, God bless them. You know, no attack against the fact that they're from another country, but it's not like you can go down the street and say, I'm having an issue here, right? I'm not going to hop on a plane and march over to Dharamsala to work it out, right? So that's an example of the Seven of Cups. 4 days just to get my money back after it was stolen from a company that never did fix my email, right? So that's an example of the kind of Seven of Cups cray-cray. La, 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 la. Get some sex. La, la, la. Get your money. Grab a breast. Grab some sex. Grab some this. Take. Constantly screwing with you. Ha! I got the sex. I got her. I got her. I screwed her last night. I just made up some bullshit story and I got her drunk. I got that. I got it. I got you drunk. And then I put a Mickey in your drink. And then my friends had some. And the best part of all is the FBI helped me do it. They were watching the door. Gotcha. There's nothing you can do about it. You must have Trump derangement syndrome. Right? Seven of Cups. What the fuck? Right? So Seven of Cups can be when you're just completely like, I have no idea what the hell is happening. The clarification. The nation must come together, Two of Wands, but we have to really work hard to fight against this gap. There's going to be a lot of exposés coming out. I'm feeling like a lot of exposés for this type of energy to be hitting and for justice to be the karma card. It's focusing a lot here on this land was made for you and me, like the Two of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles in the 7th house. We can come together, we can unify, we can build our trade, we're going to be okay financially. Your health is still your biggest opposition. with the Ace of Cups in the House of Opposition. Take things slowly. There's the truth. You are, it's like me fighting for women's rights when I lived in Israel, right? Being gaslit 24 hours a day. Oh, you're not just being true to yourself as a Jewish woman. If you were really doing God's will, you would sit in the back of the bus because we have Jim Crow law here. That's your function. Just like black people are supposed to sit in the back of the bus in Alabama in the 1950s and 60s and have separate water bottles or separate water, right? That's what we do to women in Israel under the ultra-Orthodoxy because it's love. We love you. That's why you sit in the back of the bus. That's why you work 7 days a week and are inseminated and have 10, 12, 15 kids and are also working 40 hours a week. Oh, your husband, he's sitting with his friends at the kollel, eating cake, hanging out. They eat cake. They hang out at the temple, at the kollel, and they study, sort of, if they want to, or they eat cake and talk about how screwed up their wife is, how many problems they have with their wife. Maybe she doesn't bring enough money. Maybe the last 5 kids she pushed out were all female. Maybe she didn't take care of the lice problem with the 10 kids and the fact that you only have 1 bathroom, right? So that's life in the Middle East, right? Maybe she needs to work harder. If you were a good Jewish woman, you would go make babies. You would stop talking about human rights. You must have a problem. You're not being true to your nature, Whimsy. And that was 1988. Because I said, I think Israel's slipping here. We're not the nation we used to be. We used to boast being the best human rights for women in the world, and things look like they're changing. Fast forward 35 years later, and now Israel is 88 out of 150 countries for women's rights. So we went from being the top 10 to now 88. Slipping until the women are literally going to be in cages. Now there's a new sect of ultra-Orthodox Judaism where they want us in full burqa. Last time I was in Jerusalem, I saw women walking around, Jewish women, in burqas, the burqa sect. Because we're slipping down, right? To rank of 88. We used to be number 2 or 3 or something for women's rights. We blew it out of the water. Had one of the first female leaders, Golda Meir. We were democratic socialist. We were going to build a utopia. We're going to start bringing Palestinians in. We were going to create one great nation for all, right? That was the direction we were moving in. And then something else happened. And that something else happened was the Netanyahu movement, right? So Netanyahu came in and they brought in these extreme, basically the Ayatollahs of the Jewish community, and they started beating women and basically beating them into submission. And that's what they tried to do to a lot of us. And so what happened is that a lot of Jewish people just started leaving. A lot of Jewish women just started packing up. I can't live in Israel. This is just moving in the wrong direction. Or they moved to Haifa or Tel Aviv to get away from. But the pool is getting smaller. You can't just run from Jerusalem and then say, I'm going to hide out in Haifa because it looks like it looks like Netanyahu's falling. It looks like parts of Tel Aviv are falling. Well, maybe I can just hide out in Haifa. But it's a phenomenon that's happening all over the world, and that is that women are slowly losing their rights all over the world. Interesting that the final outcome is the 7 of Cups and the 9 of Wands. which would be incarceration or jail or feeling cornered. It started off with a desire to fight for our land, and then confusion, depressed. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay home in my cage fighting. I still have my studio, right? I still have my studio apartment. You can't take my studio from me. 9 of Wands, right? It started off with the 7 of Wands, and then it ends with the 9 of Wands. So until we get real about who the enemy is ourselves. It's our own government. And we need to sit in that, marinate, and then we need to work to change it. One by one, holding all of our agencies accountable. They must be 110% held accountable for this. Their feet must be to the fire. They must be taken before the nation. Everyone that was part of the Epstein cover-up. Every single federal officer. I want their names, and I think you want their names too. Not just the people who are on the list. That's not good enough for me. I think we've all figured out who the names are. That's not good enough. I want your name. We know the name of the man that raped the girl. I want to know who the guy was at the door, who was his watch. Who was standing guard while the rape was happening? I want his name. Who made sure it could happen? Who created the environment to ensure that little girl was going to get raped? I want those people because it's my fucking country and because I pay taxes. I pay a lot of taxes. This is my country. And I pay to be I am a law-abiding, and I want those bastards in front of the Senate. I will stop when I have justice. That is what I want from you. That's what I want from all of us. I will stop when I have justice. I will pursue justice. We don't even know where she is. We don't know where that she's gone missing. They think she might be dead. We don't know where she is.
So, if that, for lack of a better term, but he was the one who wanted to get to a girl before everyone else did. Donald Trump knew that I was 13 because the first night that I was there, Tiffany actually suggested that, she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair. And so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that she said that looked great on me. So I wore that wig, and Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter. And she said, well, she's 13 as well. So he knew the first time that he saw me, but he took a liking to me because I look like his daughter. And the reason I'm coming out now is when it happened originally, I just wanted to forget about the whole incident. And when I saw that he was running for president, I felt that it was my responsibility to come out and tell our country what kind of man this person is. I don't think that he should even be the dog catcher, let alone running the greatest country in the world. After I met Tiffany at the bus station, she took me to, basically went to her house, her apartment, and got ready. I put on a blonde wig because it seemed fun to pretend to be someone different, but we went to the party that I was basically interviewing for, and Jeffrey Epstein was the one that was running the party. He had a quick meeting with everyone that was employed there, and then he had a private interview with me. The first time that I met Jeffrey Epstein, he did try to force himself inside of me without getting the go-ahead or anything, and then It was probably about the third or fourth party is when he basically forced. It was another massage, and it was basically like it wasn't sex, but there was penetration, and I told him that I didn't want that, but he kind of got a little irritated. So I don't know. There was something about him that I guess I kind of held him I held a lot of resentment towards him by that time.
So who's watching the door? Who watched the door? How much information did the FBI have at that point on Epstein? He was able to operate with impunity. He was able to do whatever he wanted because the FBI was watching the door.